Good morning.
Good morning.
We are extremely pleased that you are here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree?
Yes.
You are knowing what you are wanting?
Yes.
You are enjoying the expansion of your desire? You learned the right answer. But you really are, yes? Which means you adore contrast, yes? Yeah. There's the rub, isn't it? Well, can there be expansion without contrast?
No.
So it's a good thing theoretically. Do you like the freshness of a desire that forms within you? Are you starting to enjoy your ability to focus? Are you accepting your ability to focus as your creative ability? That's your hands in the clay, isn't it? So, in the same way that if you were painting, you'd watch what you're doing. When you're sculpting, you'd be aware to some degree. So if you're sculpting with your thoughts, you want to be aware, don't you? You want to be aware of what you're doing. Esther really appreciates the little bumps on the side of the road because they make her aware sometimes when she's not. Sort of startling to realize that you've drifted. But it's nice to know that you have those emotional bumps in the road, so to speak, those little guiding bumps that let you know when you've lost focus. As long as you know what they mean, that's important, isn't it? Do you accept that your emotions are guidance? Yes. And do you realize that they are guiding you? They are guiding you. They are friendly reminders. They are guiding you to your awareness of what you're doing with your thoughts, because your thoughts are your focus, and your focus is what you're actively offering vibrationally, and what you're actively offering vibrationally is your point of attraction to which law of attraction is responding, and all things come from that. So it's really valuable, isn't it, to be aware of how your thoughts feel. That's really the most important thing that we are really saying here. We're not wanting to guide you about the thoughts you think, because you are the creator of your own reality. And you have been long before you came into this body. You had something going on that this life experience is a continuation of. You are source energy, long time, very, very, very long focused source energy. Here to play in this new, for you, environment, for the purpose of being inspired to new things to focus upon. For the pleasure of the focus, and for the expansion that is inevitable, but not the reason. And that's the trickiest thing to convey to our physical, human, hardworking, goal-seeking, mark on the chart wanting, approval-seeking, physical partners in co-creation. So much of what you do is for the growth, for the expansion. We've said from the time that Esther began translating for us, we say you have this triad of intentions of freedom and growth and joy, and they're also equal in their balance, that they provide just the perfect platform for you. Your objective is joy, and the result of that will certainly be expansion, and the basis of all of that is your absolute freedom to choose. And so as we say this to our physical friends, they agree. We hear you, Abraham, we know. Growth, growth, growth. And we say, yeah, growth, freedom, and joy. We try to say them evenly and equally. We don't say freedom, joy, and growth. We say freedom and growth and joy. And we put the emphasis on joy because if you will put your emphasis upon joy, you'll feel those emotional guiding bumps. And if you're feeling them, then you will choose, if we've convinced you that joy is your quest and that joy is the basis of your guidance, then you've got it figured out. Then your life is easy. Because under any and all conditions, you have the ability to choose thoughts that really feel joyful, thoughts that really feel awful, and thoughts that feel somewhere in between. You get to choose it all as you're sculpting this energy. Most of our human friends still don't really believe that because they think the circumstances that are surrounding them dictate how they feel. Because most humans are observers of their environment and offers of a vibration that is equal to the environment that they are observing. And that's what makes you feel like you need to control your environment. Can't do it. That's what makes you feel like you need to or want to control your environment. Can't do it. But that's why you keep trying to control your environment. Can't do that. Can't do it. Can't do it. Give it up. 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 Can't do it. You cannot control your environment. And when you stop trying to control your environment, then you have awareness of those emotional signals that let you know what you're doing with your thoughts. But as long as you're still believing that if I could control that environment and make it better, and then I would have a much better relationship with the experience, because if my children were behaving better, or if the government would... We can't even decide which phrase to choose. There are a lot of them that you have been offering. Then I would feel better. Then I would feel better. If that condition would resolve itself, then my observation of it would go so much better for me. And therefore, I think that you need to do something about the way I feel. And the thing that's so tricky about that is that no one is working too hard to control the conditions so that you can feel better, because it's not their job to do it. So where does that leave you? There are all kinds of things that you're looking around at that don't please you. What do? Put your head in the sand? You'd feel better. But we're not really advocating a complete withdrawal from life that annoys you. What we are encouraging is a new determination to focus and a joyful discovery that you can, first of all, focus, and next, that you can focus in ways that feel good, and next, that when you do, all kinds of resources join you, and the resources that join you are the joyful resources that you've been looking for in the improvement of the conditions that you can't control all along. There, we're done. Now you know everything that's important to know, so just go figure out how to make it work in your life. Because words don't teach, do they? It's only life experience that gives you your understanding. And sometimes we are fortunate enough that we can hit on some words that are meaningful because you've just lived something that makes what we're saying brighten for you, or what you've just lived brighten for you. And that's the advantage of coming together in these collective forums where we can chew together. There's a huge advantage in you all being here on this planet together, interacting with one another and providing for each other relationships with each other and relationships with the environment that you are co-creating together. It's really the best of all worlds. We would like to help you to feel more powerfully something that we know that you all want to know about, you all want to feel, but you've managed over time to build barricades and separations between who you are in your physical body and who you really are as source energy. And so sometimes you feel negative emotions that you describe as fearful or insecure or worried or lonely. And what you're describing really with every negative emotion is you having chosen, because you always do, to focus on something that is vibrationally different enough from your broader point of view that you've introduced enough resistance into your energy field that you are depriving yourself of the fullness of the results that you want. The fullness of the presence of source, or the fullness of the presence of someone that you care about, or the fullness of the presence of the manifestation that you've been working on. In other words, you are the only one who can allow or deprive yourself of anything that you want. And it's all about the vibrational stance. Therefore, it's all about the thoughts you think. Therefore, it's all about the way you feel. And when you get that all together, when you acknowledge that the way I feel is about what I'm doing vibrationally, and what I'm doing vibrationally is about what I'm thinking about, and it all comes down to focus, and I can focus on something that feels good, or I can focus on something that feels bad, every time, every moment, every place, everywhere, everyone. I can do this. But it takes some practice, and we encourage you to start with easy things. Practice your focus on the things that it's easy to focus on. Or practice your focus on the things that matter the most to you, because they come up the most often, so eventually you can work it out if you want to. But when you discover your ability to focus and feel, focus and feel, focus and feel, focus and feel, before you know it, you're going to discover the genius of feeling and focus, feeling and focus, feeling and focus. Because once you figure out how to find something that causes you to feel good, and you focus on it long enough that you establish a pattern of that thought, and therefore a pattern of that feeling, you begin to establish for yourself what we have recently been calling an emotional grid. It's like the beginning. It's like an emotional foundation. It's like the foundation of anything. But a foundation, a vibrational foundation, is such a marvelous thing to understand and behold. Because once you accomplish an emotional foundation, law of attraction will fill it in at all levels with things that match it. And your life just becomes rich and full with what you've been calling coincidences. And they are coincidences, but we want to say a coincidence is not a freaky act of nature. It's not a lucky happenstance. A coincidence is an incidence that is cooperatively happening because of the cooperative components that are coming to you in response to the vibrational offering that you're offering. In other words, these coincidences mean converging. It means coming together. It means aligning with things that match how you are dominantly feeling. So once you begin to deliberately conjure, by virtue of focusing on things that you know will make you feel good, because last time you focused upon them, they did, so you know that it did it once, so you're going to try it again. Sort of like when you go to a buffet. Really, you're really good at this. When you go to a buffet and you get something in your mouth that is horrible, do you keep going back and trying it again? Oh, I'm going back with my plate. Why? Because it was awful, and I'm going to try to train it into something different. It was just horrible. Your parents tried that with you. Just try this thing that you spit out the last 5 times. I know in time you will grow to love it, they say to you. And you knew before you could even speak that that was nuts. You knew that you had the ability to differentiate between what you wanted, what tasted good to you. And we want you to acknowledge that there are thoughts that don't taste good and there are thoughts that do. And if you will let your vibrational palette, your emotional palette, be as evolved and as picky as your palette relative to food, you'll just do fine with all of this. So you start with things that you know taste good, vibrationally, emotionally, and you focus upon them, and you use that focus with the deliberate intention of establishing an emotional grid that we promise you will fill in with more details.